Hello guys, welcome to today's video, and in today's video we are going to be building a VQ37 DETT. Come look. Our friends over at Mazworx did us an awesome favor, and in one day they were able to do the machine work on this. For machine shops, that's like unheard of, and they were able to bore 20 over all the cylinders, hone them, and deck it. So look, it's so pretty. Originally, I was gonna kind of do like a ghetto rebuild and try to use stock bore pistons, but we couldn't find any in stock. So we ended up going 20 over, and then we were able to get it all sorted in time. So I'm super excited. What do you think, Alberto?
I like it. It looks very clean. I'm glad they took care of everything. So now it's just pretty much assemble and ready to go.
Important detail too. Mazworx is rad. They actually have a torque plate. So when they're honing, it kind of simulates the heads being mounted to the block. And that way, if it like twists any certain way, it's like all done to the correct tolerances. Is that a good way to explain it?
Yeah, so like it literally is pulling on the block the right way it will be mounted. So when they hone it, it stays perfectly straight. It doesn't. It already creates this torque that's gonna have with the head, with a torque plate. That way, when they hone it, it's all ready to go. If you free hone it without the torque plate, then you're gonna have distortion when you tighten the head studs.
I'm a little bit, I don't want to say nervous, but I'm not used to an open deck design like this, and it just looks sketchy. I guess, I mean, this is the same way that the VR that's in the GTR is, right, Alberto?
Yeah,
so
and like your basic Honda engines are like this too.
It just looks scary.
The thing about it just promotes very good cooling.
No, for sure. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
But I got some quick-crete out back if you want to just pour some in there real quick, right? That's what drag racers do, right?
No.
So, I just want to explain real quick before we go on any further, kind of the logic behind doing the whole forged bottom end. I really wanted to learn the car and become a better drag racer with a stock engine, kind of like you don't show up at the drift track with 1,000 horsepower right off the bat. I wanted to figure it out before we started throwing a bunch of horsepower to cover up bad driving. But the problem is with the turbo kit that we designed, the G25 550s just made so much power down low that even with the torque around 500 foot-pounds, it was still breaking rods. So I was hoping that once we, turned it down a little bit and I wasn't just mashing off launch control and had the error like happen before, it would be okay, but it wasn't. Maybe we could have turned it down a little bit and found the limit, but I don't want to just keep blowing through stock engines just to find that perfect balance when we could pretty easily go to a forged bottom end. So we do have a stroker kit coming down the road, but for now we're just going to do a forged bottom end and kind of learn the car a little bit more, not make crazy power, and then in the future maybe turn this up a little bit and then put in the stroker when we're ready. And just to clarify too with the stroker, I also don't want to rush it because Brian Crowder is kind of helping us develop a few things and figure out some weird stuff. So I believe we are going to end up sleeving the stroker for added strength. And we're working on a couple other things, but I know that I wanted to get this car back running soon and I didn't want to just wait, and I want to make sure the stroker engine is perfect. So I think this will be a very good intermediary engine. Building engines has always been something that fascinates me more than pretty much anything else we do in related to car stuff. I always kind of let Alberto do his thing, and then he always is very great at explaining along the way. So just little dumb things like the trick of putting the bolts in here to push off. Would this be called a main girdle?
Yeah. It's one piece, caps and girdle all in one. So the block pretty much comes apart in half.
In theory, this should be stronger than the traditional style, right?
Yeah, it's brakes because it's one piece. So on some engines you have like
main caps
that you put between the caps. It's just all in one.
It's cool. Like the VQ's never really been an engine that I've been a fan of. I just kind of fell into this because I bought a cheap 370Z, and getting to learn about something like this, I guess this could be considered almost like a poor man's VR38, right? No?
It's a different block.
Well, no, I know, but like I'm assuming it's probably similar building wise.
It's the same.
Yeah.
So the VR30 block is just a lot stiffer and reinforced.
I wonder if you can bolt VQ heads to a VR block. It'd be interesting. Probably no reason to do that though.
No.
I didn't really think anything of it, but I did just lift the block up pretty easily in the beginning clip of this video, and it just kind of now sunk in. Comparing this to like a 2J that, probably could make around the same horsepower, probably hold a little bit more in stock form. The 2J iron block is way heavier than this. That's pretty rad. It's weird to think that the VQ is lighter than the JZ because I feel like I associate VQs with Zs that look and kind of feel like heavy cars, so to think that it's lighter than a JZ is just kind of weird. I'm gonna reach into my fridge of surprises. I've actually got a coffee straight from Japan. This one my friend Sam has sent to me. When I was over there last, we looked all over trying to find this stuff. The premium from Georgia is apparently what he says is the best canned coffee over there. So I'll let you guys know if I agree. Sugoi. So Roberto, I'm kind of confused as to whether this, like, how's this gonna fit?
That's too much for that block to handle, though. It won't fit.
You told me this was a 3-rotor block. So I literally went and got...
1, 2, 3.
I got 3 rotors. Did we get the clearances wrong?
Kinda. Just needs a bigger housing.
Let's do a quick test. How's the resistance, Alberto?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Just the assembly is so thick because it's super cold out.
Oh, yeah, true.
Like extra tacky. It's like...
It's probably, you know, 60 degrees in the warehouse, and maybe even 55, which for us Floridians, that's cold. We're used to it being like 100 degrees in here.
We can just open it up outside and it'll be a lot colder.
I do also want to put out there that the VQ is not the greatest platform for making power. Obviously, there are many, many, many better engines to do this with, but the idea of doing something a little bit different and keeping the engine that belongs with the chassis was kind of why we're doing about this. So like I said, for pistons, we weren't able to find any in stock that were what we needed, but a friend reached out to me over in, I think it was Ormond Beach, that had these sitting for his VQ build, and he offered to sell them to me. What we have in here, some Wiseco 20 over, 11.5 compression forged pistons. Alberto, you like using these, don't you?
Yeah.
Why do you like these?
Because they fit nice, they work.
What cars do we have these same pistons in?
The SR.
Got it. Yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with that engine. We used a different piston at one point that we didn't like, didn't we? That's what we're using for this. Nothing too fancy, but with a little bit higher compression. Should spool the turbos a little bit faster, but we'll need to run the 85. So now for the rods, we've got a box from Brian Crower. And check out what we got inside. You saw I already had one of these bad boys out for my coffee drinking. And Alberto, tell me more about these rods.
Well, these are H-beam, so I think these are the heavier duty version of the H-beams, right?
Yep.
And then one of the coolest things, these are like the ones that are on the 2J, which have the H625 plus rod bolts, which are the strongest bolts, so you can run a lot of power without distorting the bottom end of the rod. Sick.
So anyway, we are going to be running a Brian Crower stroker kit on the next version of the engine. But since we've been having a lot of issues with rods, we figure we might as well go with something super strong. Now, Alberto rarely gives me compliments, but he did like my technique for getting these little... I don't even know what these are called. Alberto, what are these called?
The Piston wrist pin clips.
I'm going to show you my technique. I don't know if it's right or wrong, and I would kind of like put it in that little slot, which apparently is to put a pick in to be able to remove them. But I would kind of put the end in there, and then with a screwdriver, I would kind of brace it up against my chest and kind of like lay into it, just like that. Just give it a good old little teak, and then it's done. Just a good old little teak. What are you doing over there? You getting our rods ready?
Yeah.
Man, engine parts are so cool. We hang out with Brian quite a bit at PRI, and he's super hyped on us doing big power stuff with this VQ, so very stoked to have his support in this build. Let's look at the big boost technique from removing the rod caps.
Oh my god.
What?
You're gonna get so much shit.
Alright, so this is aluminum, and the rods are chromoly? Steel? What are the rods made of?
I think there might be chromoly or steel. I don't know.
Okay.
What are they made out of?
I don't know, but I assume they'd be stronger than aluminum, so this is...
rubberized material. Gently tapping. Just to like, kind of like, very little.
Here on the Alberto Big Boost channel, we like to call that a teak. Just give it a...
Yeah, like nice little teaks. And then like, teak, slice off. Yeah, I do this here without like putting it on the table, like hit it with something that you're not gonna want to nick this or anything, you know.
I like how you left the bolts in too, so it wouldn't go flying when it comes off.
Yeah, no, of course. Just backing up a little bit just to like get the guide pins off, so you can then reinstall a rod instead.
What you got to understand though is like stuff like that, that's common sense to you. For someone like me that's never really built engines before, I wouldn't think of doing that, and then I would have it go flying across the room. Or
you put the piston on and you're like, oh, how do I go with the piston? It's like, oh, hold on. And then you like scratch the piston. Scratch the other thing, or like, I don't know, it could go wrong. And with the vise, you hold it nice there, and then it doesn't mess it up.
So I looked it up because I didn't want us to sound stupid. They are made of 4340 billets. Were you just doing that on purpose?
I was looking for a wrench.
This guy was literally in the background just shuffling around wrenches to mess up my clip. So they are made of 4340 billet steel. I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but for me, every time I see the piston boxes and rod boxes, it's like a symbol of an exciting time. Because, you know, we build, what, over the past year, what, 2 or 3 engines, something like that? And every time it's always like followed by a very exciting dyno run or some sort of new build or something extra.
Yeah, it's always pretty exciting to see what it's gonna do.
So in this case, I guess this would probably be the least exciting, just because usually when we're building an engine, it's also coupled with a new turbo setup or a bigger turbo or lots of changes. Where this, it's very, very similar, and we already have the turbo kit developed. It's just our turbo setup kind of outpowered the stock block, so we're kind of now building it in retrospect when usually you would kind of do everything at the same time. So I wanted to see what the stock block would handle, and no more wasting time with stock engines.
What is going on next door?
I don't know. Finished installing all the C-clips, so that's all set. And Alberto's starting to do his ring grinding. He's very upset that he no longer has his giant wooden box, if you guys remember. Super throwback to the old videos where that used to be mounted on. We can mount that if you want, Alberto. I don't mind.
On what?
I don't know, whatever. On a piece of wood? I always found this fascinating. There's so many little tricks with building engines. So to test the fitment, he'll take the piston, push it in to make sure that the ring is exactly level in there, so we can get it grinded down to the perfect clearance. So what are we doing for ring gap on this, Alberto?
18 and 20.
And that would be what, like is that more of like a race gap or a street gap?
It's like a in between, so it's like a aggressive ring gap, but not too much to cause a lot of blow-by.
Yeah, because we run E85 or Ignite Red, E90 and everything, and you get a little bit more blow-by with that, so gapping it too aggressively, you'll have wicked blow-by issues, kind of like we had in our first rendition of my RB. All right, so the goal tonight is to finish the rotating assembly. Got some new bearings.
Okay, so I got new OEM bearings from Nissan. So they're like, should be like really close to spec where it needs to be. And then all the piston rings are filed and installed, so now it's just pretty much time to put the bearings on the rods and compress the pistons and install them.
Give the top of the piston a little tick 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 tick.
Oh.
Alberto taught me that it's very important, the pattern and how you kind of tap the actual piston into the cylinder, so we got to do a look at that.
Very nice.
Yep.
You learn a lot from me, Samir.
That's always the do 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 do. That's the secret.
There you go. It works, right?
It does. It's all about smooth and smelly. Do 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 do. So we're talking about rod bolts right now, and apparently that's the secret sauce and why these can hold so much power. So let's have a little bit of bolt talk, Alberto. What different kind of bolts there are? Why are these so good?
Well, it's like about 3 grades of ARP bolts. There's a 2000s, there's a L19 series, and then there's 625. 625 I think has the same properties of L19s, which are very hard, but the problem with L19s is that they're not very good at resisting humidity, so they corrode easy. That's what I have the headset somewhere, and I have a bag that don't open, so I don't want you to touch them. And they're like individually wrapped in paper and the whole thing, so you can't like put moisture on them, or they'll rust. But the A625 rod bolts, or ARP bolts in general, have a different element or whatever they did, and they're like super strong, yet they're not like a very sensitive material like the L19s.
Good to know.
But any rods that have 625 plus, that's like a bad dog. That's gonna hold a lot of power.
That's a bad dog rod. That'd be a sick shirt. Bad dog rods.
Oh my god, like that reminds me of those big dog brands that I used to have. Like, do you ever buy a big dog shirt?
No.
I used to have them all the time.
Really?
You don't remember that brand?
No.
Big dogs.
If that was a brand, I don't know that I would be the type. I don't know if I would be the type of clientele to wear a big dog shirt.
I don't know. My mom used to buy them for me, so it's like, whatever.
I'll put my dogs in big people shirts, but I won't put my people in big dog shirts. You feel me?
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Like little 11 o'clock at night talk, you know, when you're like, oh, I'm gonna just head out and just talk about big dog shirts.
You guys should hear what we talk about off camera. That's where it gets real juicy. Huh, Alberto?
It's the same thing.
You want to talk about some assembly lube? You should hear the off camera talk.
Are we still talking about assembly lube off camera?
We can talk about whatever you want off camera.
Still assembly lube? Look at that. Piston ring scrape. Squeegeeing off those cylinder walls.
Oof, listen to that compression.
Oh, you wanna see?
What? What are you doing?
Put your hand like this.
I don't know if it's... my hand's not big enough, Alberto.
What the hell? You can't put your hand.
Why is that so
You
funny?
saw my glove?
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. Wait, hold.
Your hand just gets sucked in the cylinder. Oh, that's funny.
There, my hand, it's barely big enough for this.
So the stock VQs that we've gotten are compression testing around 260 to 270 PSI. Do you think this will be higher compression because it's higher compression cylinders? Because that would be wild.
Yes, and maybe not necessarily since we're running looser piston ring gap than stock.
Good call.
Might, like,
maybe balance out.
about even it out, yeah.
I mean, pretty much any engine we've ever built is always 120 PSI of compression for some reason, so. So you're gonna like suck your hand and break it or something. You're such a child.
I gotta have fun with it.
Dude,
that's how I like doing this job.
I'm just so mad that my hand literally doesn't fit over it. It's too big.
Put your head on it.
Oh my god, let me put a butt cheek on that.
Oh my god, that would hurt so bad.
Yo, I'd like kind of be down if that wasn't like weird, you know?
No, we're
maybe
not
maybe when you leave, I'll try it.
Alright, I'm
All right, bye, Alberto. Thank you. Okay. Wait. So I turn it right or left?
I mean, actually, use the impact gun on it.
Oh my. Wait. What? Would that create like a big enough suction to like actually hurt you?
Yeah.
Really?
You'll get like a massive hickey on your butt cheek with that. It's like, what happened to us?
Dude, imagine you go home and Sharon sees that on your butt. Alberto, what were you doing at work?
I mean, you see this engine has this weird shape, and then it just made an imprint.
Oh yeah, wait, this is like a Nissan thing, right?
Yeah.
What's the car that everyone always goes to AutoZone and asks them to describe the shape of the water pump? Isn't that a truck?
It's some truck, but I mean the RB gasket will be about the same thing.
Do we have the gasket for this? Because the gasket probably even looks better than the engine.
No, it's silicone. There's no gasket, so you can't make the funny thing with this engine.
Oh, you just have to look at it. Yeah, if you're curious what we're talking about, this looks like a D. See? D. And like this is the tip of the D, and then this is the actual like D treble.
I mean, true, it's a D, just hold on. Right?
Yeah, no. Yeah, see?
Wait, look.
What?
See,
oh,
it's a letter D.
wait. Actually, you know what? Let's get even more complicated. Turn it this way.
It's gonna be a P.
Oh my god, that's
it's a piece.
Alberto, I just had a... Oh my god, dude, it's all making sense to me. Alberto, that is literally the Publix logo. That's the Publix... Do you think this is how they came up with it? That's Publix, dude. That's Publix, man.
Oh, let's get some green paint.
Wow. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna get really complicated. Alberto, I'm sorry, I really hate to ask you to do this again, but I'm onto something right now. Can you flip it real quick for me? Or you know what, I'll do this. Guys, this is huge, all right? Listen, look at this. Now I'm gonna flip it horizontally. That's the Beats logo. That's how they came up with it, Alberto. That's it. The VQ, man. Illuminati, dude. It's a VQ Minati.
Alright, Adam, our late night talk is ending kind of weird. I think I'm gonna head out.
Wait, what's that meme you always said? You always send? I'm gonna head out.
I'm gonna head out.
Adam starts talking about Publix logos. I'm gonna head out.
I'm gonna head out.
All right. So I don't know if this video is gonna lead in tomorrow or not. I don't know if we have enough today to constitute a video. But if so, the rotating assembly is now pretty much complete. Oh, I gotta get a good photo though.